So in steps John Bolton on yesterday. John Bolton steps forward now and says he's ready to testify. Let me quickly preface this by telling you, I think that John Bolton is, what can I call him? I think he's a farce. I think he's a phony. I even think he's homosexual, but that's beside the point. But I've got a video clip of him from yesterday stating he's now ready to, or at least as an explanation of him ready to testify. I think he's a phony and a fraud, and I think he's gay, John Bolton. But he steps in now, realizing that Trump is in deep trouble, and rather than him volunteering to appear before Adam Schiff's committee, or before Gerald Nadler's committee, going back a month ago when the impeachment proceedings were going forth on the Nancy Pelosi, John Bolton could have stepped forward then, but he didn't. I think he's gay, but I know he's a fraud. But yet he thinks now he's got something to peddle and something to sell if he can oust Trump. Mr. Engineer, roll clip number 2 for just a moment, please.
Just now, a statement being issued by the president's former national security advisor, John Bolton, making clear that he is prepared, in a statement that he has put out, prepared to testify in the impeachment trial of the president of the United States. Let me get first over to Caitlin Collins, who has all of the details coming out just now. Caitlin, this is a lengthy statement coming from John Bolton. What is he saying?
It's lengthy, but all the news, Kate, is at the bottom, where in this statement that John Bolton, the former national security advisor, just tweeted out, he says, quote, "I have concluded that if the Senate issues a subpoena for my testimony, I am prepared to testify." Now, that's big news. It hangs on a lot of conditions, especially since Senate Republicans so far have shown no willingness to invite any witnesses to come and testify at that Senate trial. When it's going to happen, when we don't know still. That's still something that's very unclear. But this is substantial news coming from John Bolton, who, of course, has been at the center of this Ukraine drama. He was the national security advisor here in the White House who pushed repeatedly for the president to let go of that aid that he had on that military aid to Ukraine. That aid, of course, that we've learned he was withholding because he wanted those investigations conducted into the Bidens. And, of course, he wanted statements out of the Ukrainian leaders and their government on that. And John Bolton is a force against that in the White House, something that we know from testimony from officials who worked for him and next to him. John Bolton was very against, even once having a meeting with the president in the Oval Office where things got incredibly tense over this hold on aid. And we've seen, of course, it was the president was not there. Now he says he is willing to tell his story, though, of course, Kate, all of this depends on whether or not he is invited up to Capitol Hill. But it is really hard to see now that we have this statement and him saying no legal fights, no going to court. He's willing to testify if he gets a subpoena, how those Senate Republicans do not invite him up now.
Let me offer another piece of advice. I would potentially advise Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, and Gerald Nadler not to be so quick to seek the advice of John Bolton. I think he's a fraud. What's he going to say? If he had America's interest at heart, he had the opportunity a month ago when the impeachment hearings were going on in the House to step forward. So he doesn't have America's interest at heart. The reason he's got something, he's got an axe he want to grind, or he's got some sort of power play he's looking to try to advance. And I'm not so sure it will be in the interest of the American people to give him a platform to ask him to testify, because I think he's just a fraud. I think he's a misfit. I think he's had a lot of problems over the years. So the media thinks that somehow or another this is a blow to Trump. It very well probably would be. I mean, he'd probably get up and would tell, the committee that he thinks that Rudy Giuliani is a hand grenade, and that Rudy Giuliani and Mike Pompeo and Mick Mulvaney was putting together a drug deal. The person I think this is all going to ultimately end up in terms of the pressure that will now be put on the administration and also on the Senate, including Mitch McConnell, is going to be Rudy Giuliani. He's going to be the one that's going to really crack the egg. But this guy Bolton, I just don't trust him. I think that, as I've stated now for the 25th time, I think he's a fraud. He's looking to gain something. He's not looking to help America. He's not a patriot. He's looking to advance something, but it is not America, and it is not the cause of justice or the rule of law. That's not what this character here is all about, John Bolton. And so, but I think also at the same time, he wishes to do as much harm to Tribulation Trump as he possibly can. If he can say something, he potentially can say something that will mar Trump, that will make Trump's numbers fall, or will separate Trump from some of the people that support him, he will definitely do that in spades. I know that he will. But I want to warn America, don't trust him. I want to give advice to Schumer and to Pelosi and others. If you can stay away from John Bolton, I think he's a hand grenade as well. This is a bit of a news blog we do, looking at spiritual wickedness in high places for the most part, making some observations about it and giving people a biblical foundation to the way of interpreting, rather than have Sean Hannity or Laura Ingraham or Janine Pirro or Anderson Cooper or Rachel Maddow or Don Lemon, Rush Limbaugh interpret what's going on in the world. You come to me and I'll tell you based on what the Word of God says. They'll just give you their worldly, sinful view. But the Manning Report will tell you what God has said, whether to say yea or nay, whether to go or to stay. You'll be led by the word of Almighty God. Come to the Manning Report on a daily basis to interpret the spiritual wickedness in high places, because there's plenty of it that's going on. And so I am he. I'm the Lord's servant, James David Righteous Rebel Manning. And I'm here to serve you with news and information.